Um, One of the things I'm going to go over is in your packets, it's the 10 steps of initiating development. Okay, so basically what this is I'm a business major, so I'm very much about like logistics and what happens if someone actually comes in our door, like what do we actually do with that? So it's your development team's turn to be on rotation, and you get the call that someone in the community has come to church for assistance. You've been trained, but it's been a while. What do you do? So the first thing you guys are going to do is you're going to schedule the first meeting. They're going to take the contact information from either those contact cards, or whoever was able to get the information. They're going to call you. And y'all's job is just to get back with them within 48 hours, as much as that's possible, just so we have a fast turnover time. We're able to let them know that we really do want to help them. And then that first meeting, schedule it for about an hour and a half. So it's not too long, but you're able to still get the information. And then the step 2 is that we're going to explain what we do at that meeting. You're going to tell them we don't provide handouts. We are walking with you for 6 months. This is a development thing. And you're going to start filling out the intake form. One of the things Sarah did say about that is that you don't have to get through the whole intake form, but it's really important that you get the main contact information and some of the main stuff going. And step 4 is we're going to go through what we said, the charity check and the reference check and calling the church. And part of this is going to be street team working with you to do some of those things. It's not all on you. We really want to help out. So step 5, you're going to call them back after you've checked with them. Whether or not everything checks out, we're still going to call them back. We're not just going to leave them. And we're going to talk about filling out their action plan and making goals. So after you fill out the action plan, make sure that you make a copy of that so we get to keep one, because we're going to be trying really hard to stay on top of documenting everything, because we have other churches that are interested in using this. So it's important that we document it so we can train them and tell them how to do it.
Yeah, keep all of your forms.
Mm-hmm.
I'm such a form person.
Yes.
Like for their intake form, they don't need that back. For the action plan, they do need that back. But all of the other forms, keep them in a file. And then what we'll do is once you can keep that file as you're working with them throughout the 4 to 6 months. And at the end of it, we can give it to Jennifer just to kind of store and just have on file with everything in one place.
Right, and that's part of the reason why we gave you guys folders. If y'all want to use those, you're welcome to. And we'll make sure that you have all of the packets and all the handouts that you need when you start with your person that you're going to get. Okay, so you scheduled the second meeting, you filled out the action plan, and then at the end of that second meeting, you're going to start in on the 6-month goals and the budgeting. Have you guys heard about SMART goals? Do you know what those are? Okay, so SMART goals means specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So those are just, it's a good thing to look up, Google it, it's really easy. So just SMART goals. So when you're making those goals, one of the points we make is that y'all need to be relational, which is really important, but also when you're making your goals, make them specific. So be relational while you're making them and trying to make sure they don't get stressed out, but also make sure they're specific and attainable. And one thing I just wanted to touch on that I've really learned in some of the stuff I've done with different people in poverty is some things might be a priority to you, but they might not be to that person. And within reason. Something might need to be a priority to them and it's not, but maybe they really do want to pay their car more than they want to pay their electric. Like that would make sense to me, but maybe that's something they need to do. So just keep things in mind like that. Just know that these people might have a different priority than you on something. Just to be understanding. Okay, so step 8, further contact. You guys are going to aim to make about 2 to 3 points of contact each week for the first 2 months. And that doesn't have to be in person. We ask that once a week it is in person so they can see you and really know that you are there for them. But the other 1 to 2 times can be a phone call. Probably not an email. They won't have that, but a phone call would be best. Okay, and then after that, you guys can move back to 1 to 2 points of contact each week for the remaining 4 months. And one of the main things is celebrate any successes, because anything is a big success. And let us know. That way we can kind of keep everyone informed and say, like this development team's done this and it's worked really well, because we want to make sure that we're having a good conversation about what's working and what's not. And then step 9, this is something that we haven't developed a sheet for yet. But if we need to do that, we definitely can. We're going to have monthly progress checks. And it's not in any way like check up and make sure you guys are doing your job or anything like that. It's just to help you guys realize, okay, like this has been a whole month now, and how far have we gotten through this? How have we reached these goals? Do we need to change some goals? Because that's a real thing. I don't know if y'all ever make goals and then you're like, well, that's not going to happen now. So you might need to change some goals and kind of fix that, and then we're going to document that so we know what works and what doesn't for next time.
And two, yeah, just keeping the street team informed of like, hey, like this is not working at all for this development team, and then we can and that kind of comes back to the group me or however we want to do that.
Right.
Just to kind of let other people know what's working and not working, because we're all learning at the same time here what's going to work and what's not.
Yes. Yeah, and like we said, when we try to kind of show this to some other churches too, we want to have all the kinks worked out. So step 10 is the 5th month meeting. You're going to have a formal meeting with the street team, and that's the end. You're going to have a formal meeting all together first to review the action plan and assess the progress they've made. So that's going to be the big one where it's like, okay, this is down to the wire. This is the last month. We have to get all this done. And so you're just going to see what's attainable. Maybe they need an extension. That might be something if there's a couple more weeks and y'all are willing to commit to that for a couple more weeks, or maybe like Cindy said, you're going to get that phone call once a month just to kind of check on them. So we're not just going to drop them as soon as the 6 months are over. Like, how are you going to keep up with them in some form that is realistic for you too? And the very last thing, it's not a step because it's just an evaluation, but the very last thing is after the 6 months, the street team is going to complete exit interviews. So it's going to be with the teams separate from the individual, our neighbor that we're helping. So we're going to talk to the team and say, hey, development team, what worked, what didn't, what can we do better? And then we're going to talk to the individual and just, it's going to be very relational. It's not going to be scary or an interview or anything like that. It's just going to be, tell us what worked and what didn't, what do you see that's helpful. And also this is a good way to get more people involved from our church with development teams, because if the neighbors allow us to, we can use some of their stories and things like that. So that is your logistical 10 steps of initiating development kind of thing.
Anna,
Yeah.
for steps 9 and 10, we're still kind of working out the kinks, and we're kind of just curious about your guys' feedback too. What we'll be doing is doing more probably in 2 to 3 months, just kind of just a quick training session about closing out the teams and just kind of see how are things going. So these last few steps are fluid. We want to kind of just get a feel. This is kind of from the best practices of what we read. But again, it could be very different once we actually start to apply it.
Right.
So that's kind of where that is. Don't feel like we're boxed in if that's not going to fit what we're doing.
Yeah, and the main point is just to make everyone feel like we're helping in some capacity, not to make you guys feel like you have to do more work. Okay, and then the next thing I want to talk about is the development team expectation sheet. So that's basically, you guys have heard all of this that's on here. It's nothing new, but we just wanted to put on one sheet kind of what's gonna be expected from you as far as just the commitment level, because I know everyone has a lot of commitments, and so it's just so it's all up front and you know what you're getting into. So you guys can already check off the first one. Most of you have heard or came to all the development training sessions, and then the next one is that you're going to be on call and rotations with other teams if someone comes in. Jennifer said that they've had a couple people that have come in already. So if that happens, she's just going to call one of the teams that's on call that week. And you'll know which one of you is on call, and just to have your phone. It doesn't have to be an immediate, I have to be at the church right away. It's the 48 hours thing, but just so you know that you are on call. And meet within 48 hours from the point of contact to fill out the intake form, just so they feel like we really do care about them. You're going to commit to a 6-month period with 2 to 3 points of contact each week, and then move to 1 to 2, and then one of those is going to be in person. And then also we're going to ask that you guys take inventory every month of kind of what's gone down and how you have reached some of your goals or begin to reach some of your goals. And that's just an easy fill out an email to one of us or take some notes and we'll ask you about it. It's nothing in depth. Keep your neighbor's information confidential within reason. This isn't something that we want to talk about around the church, like, oh, my neighbor's doing this and it's really frustrating. If you have frustrations, talk to the street team, not to everyone else in the church, because we really want to make sure they feel safe. And I think a lot of people have struggled with churches doing that to them really feeling like, oh, they know all my problems and everyone here knows all of these issues that I have. And we want them to feel comfortable if they do decide to attend our church. And contact the authorities immediately if there's suspected child abuse. That's something that is not on you to decide if that's happening or not. Cindy kind of talked about that already. You just need to call because it's not our decision to be made and the church isn't responsible. We need to just hand that over. Keep street team informed of potential issues and successes. I've already said that a bunch, but let us know what's going on so we can be involved and so we can kind of promote this more. Hopefully we'll get more people that want to join in on the development and so we can get more volunteers. And then just commit to pray for your neighbor. I think that's the most important thing on this sheet. Y'all can do all this great stuff and commit to them for 6 months, but if you're not praying about it, what's really going to happen? Because really we're hoping that they come to know Jesus within all of this too, and that brings some order to their lives as well. That's the really important part here. That's why we're doing what we're doing, because, you know, we are a church. We love the Lord and want them to as well. So really commit to that and hit hard on that one. I think that's important.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On the points of contact, like visit the person, and that's with both members of your team, correct?
Right. It's just as a team.
How would that look in, for example, calling someone?
Right.
So, coordinate like with my team member, like, hey, I'm gonna call them this week because realistically, we're not gonna like meet up and call them. And
Right. Yeah.
First, or three-way them, you know, like. And so.
We could even FaceTime. You want to FaceTime?
Do you have Skype? A Google Hangout. But just realistically, what would that look like?
I would say it's fine to split it up if you want to do one call and the other team member wants to do one call, and then just make sure when you're all meeting, you all do meet, like both of you meet with the person.
Like a visit in person with your neighbor.
Make sure everyone does that, yeah.
Okay.
Or even if, like, I mean, just practically, like, if they have an iPhone or like a smartphone and they can do like a three-way text, like, you could even just, that could be a way that they update you, like, I got this job interview, like, just so they're, you know what I mean? Like, they can text both of you.
Right.
Yeah.
This isn't like some long hour conversation phone call you're having. It's just like a point of contact to make sure that they know you're there and they're still doing good and on the right track kind of thing. So, yeah. So you can split that up however you see best. But just make sure when you meet in person that you guys all try to be there just for safety and to keep everyone updated. But yeah, any more questions about either of those? Either the first two things we went through? So there's only one more thing. Is that it? Okay. And yeah, we're just going to ask that y'all sign the bottom of this just so you read it. That's it. Okay, the very last thing we have is the waiver and release of liability. So basically, y'all can just read through that and sign the bottom, but it's just saying that if you do decide to drive your neighbor somewhere, that is not public church's liability. It is onto your personal liability and your personal insurance. And just know that you do take that on if you do decide to drive them or take them somewhere. They're your responsibility. Yeah, Sarah, do you have anything to add to all that?
I don't think so, yeah. We're gonna open it up for
Questions?
questions. Yeah,